Hello my loves, and welcome to this video where we will discuss how to consciously move through a divorce or handle a breakup. Now, most of you who have gone through a divorce, me included, as well as some of my clients, will attest that going through a divorce is slightly different than going to a breakup, or perhaps hugely different. The difference here is that when we go through a divorce, we have made a commitment to ourselves, to our partner, as well as to our family members and members of our community and a higher power that we will stay in this relationship for the duration of our life. And however, when we break that commitment, now we are faced with a lot of self-doubt, and we start to doubt everything in our life and how we can show up. So this is an additional component that is going to go into dealing with the divorce. And sometimes that is also present with a breakup. So I'm not trying to minimize or emphasize one, saying that one is worse than the other. However, there are just these normal differences that most people will attest to. And also they might be shocked that, listen, I've gone through breakups before and it's never been this bad. Why am I going through such a deep difficulty? And a big part of that is that self-doubt, that doubt that creeps in. So just pay attention to that. When we go through a breakup, we can do certain things to alleviate the pain. Yes, we will have to deal with a certain degree of discomfort and pain and grief. However, there are things that we do that just add more discomfort and pain into the situation that is really not necessary. And in this video, I'm going to discuss both of those things. What we do that is making things worse, and how can we move forward and make things easier. So the things that we do that make the situation worse, number one is core wounds or negative beliefs that are coming up to the surface, and you're beating yourself up with a lot of negative self-talk, believing that you have failed, that you will never meet the person that you want, that you will be single forever, that you are unlovable, that you are powerless, that whatever it is, that the story in your head is running on repeat. If you pay really close attention, those stories were most probably there when you were in your relationship, but they were there in a different format. Maybe they were there when something didn't go well in your relationship or at work or with a co-worker. These thoughts are a result of a negative belief system, a core wound that is there. So when we are dealing with difficult situations in life and we have core wounds, it adds another layer to the pain. However, now that you're aware that you have this core wound, you can use this information to heal on a deeper level, and you can use the divorce or this breakup to get you to a better place than you've ever been before, and get you to a place where you know yourself more, you are more healed. Maybe you start to deal with your childhood trauma that you have never dealt with, abandonment, rejection, betrayal, right? So you can deal with these things on a very, very deep level. But the first thing we want to observe is, do I have negative self-talk about myself because of this breakup or this divorce? That is not helping, and I will show you what to do. The next one is needs. If we are unaware that we have emotional needs, we will also be unaware that our partner in this relationship have fulfilled some of those needs. And perhaps we don't even know what those are. So we will miss not only our partner, but what we will miss is a need fulfillment. So imagine that you are reliant on your partner or somebody in your family to feed you. What will happen if that person is sick and unable to come to your place and feed you? You will go through a lot of stress. Now, it's the same thing with emotional needs. We rely on people to fulfill our emotional needs, whether we know it or we don't know it. Emotional needs is what makes the world go round. It's what makes economy go round. Like in this video, you have a need to find out some kind of information to maybe ease your pain. And I have the need to contribute into your life and make these videos. And therefore, we are fulfilling each other's needs. This is why we are here. This is what creates this relationship. If you have a need for connection and your friend or your partner was there for you for that connection, that is the need. Maybe the need was basic, like safety, materialistic safety. Maybe it was safety of knowing that you have somebody for the rest of your life. So notice, what were those needs? Feel free to go to my website and look under the resource tab where you will find a needs list. And now you can circle all of the needs that your partner was fulfilling for you and start to fulfill those needs in your own life. The next point is goals of the future. You most probably sometimes consciously and a lot of the time unconsciously have created this image of yourself with your partner in the future. And now that image is shattered. Not only is that image in the future shattered, but what is shattered is your image of yourself as you are right now. Like I've mentioned already, there might be self-doubt. You might question, who are you now without this partner? Perhaps your partner and you relied on each other for certain things. Or even if the partner wasn't really active in the relationship, maybe there was distance, there wasn't a lot of good connection, right? Because the relationship broke up for some reason. So maybe there were issues in the relationship, but it was familiar to you. You were familiar in that space. Maybe it was even a space that reminded you of your childhood. Maybe this partner was like your parent. And I mean, as your parent, as in maybe they had similar traits to your mom or to your dad. And then you just felt familiar and you knew your personality in this context. So you knew who you should wake up and be, how to react to certain situations. So that is your ego structure. So that ego structure begins to crumble. And you also grieve a loss of yourself, as you thought it is, and a loss of yourself in the future. So this is what makes the grieving process and the breakup a lot more difficult. Okay? It is the core wounds, it is the needs, and it is also this deconstruction of your ego structure. And maybe you don't know about it and you feel powerless in how to actually go about changing that. But now that you have that awareness, you can start to look at yourself from the space of metacognition. Metacognition is observing how you are thinking. So now that you know, okay, it is general that people who go through a divorce might have a lot of negative self-talk, I can step outside of that negative self-talk. I can awaken from this trance of feeling unworthy, of feeling not good enough, and notice how that was most probably not only running your relationship, but it was most probably running your whole life. And maybe if it wasn't, maybe it was just the relationship, you can still just step back. And that stepping back is extremely powerful. That is when we really get to awaken and we take the power back into our hands. We take the steering wheel of our life into our hands and we decide where we can go. Okay, so how do we deal with these core wounds as they are popping up? You know, core wounds, there are 22 of them. You can Google them if you want to. If you want me to do a little list for them and put it on my website, just message me down below and I'll do that as well. But you can just Google core wounds and how they show up in your life, and then you will see like, oh, this is an abandonment core wound. This is why this feels so intense. Usually when we go through a breakup or a divorce, we feel abandoned, even if we are the ones that chose to leave. We could feel abandoned because our partner didn't show up for us in the ways that we needed for us to stay in that relationship. So now that we have this abandonment core wound, it can be terrifying, because if you watch my previous videos, you will hear me talk about how the abandonment core wound is linked to the safety of our nervous system. Because when we are infants, we know that we are unable to fend for ourselves. Therefore, we are reliant on other people to take care of us. So on the very primal level, when we have the separation from our main attachment figure, which was now your partner, we are going to experience some kind of abandonment. And if you had an underlying core wound of abandonment, that is going to be quite profound, and you might experience tremendous amount of anxiety. Maybe you cling, maybe you shut down, but you will have some kind of big reaction to that. So the first thing is to notice that this is happening. Like we always say, awareness is key. However, it is not the whole story, because you can become aware of it and it's still extremely difficult to deal with. So another part of our brain that we can look at to help us move through this is what's called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system is a part of our brain that acts like a filter, filtering out information in our world that is important to us and also that aligns with our intrinsic beliefs. Which means that if I want to buy a red car, I will walk out onto the street and all of a sudden I will just see red cars popping up everywhere. Has the number of red cars changed in the world? It hasn't. What has changed is what I am paying attention to, and my mind is automatically filtering out information according to that. Therefore, when we are triggered into one of our wounds, the abandonment core wound, the not enough wound, the I'm unworthy wound, I'm broken, I'm unlovable core wound, any of those core wounds, your filter is set to pick up information from the external world that will affirm your belief. This is also called the self-verification theory, and I've got a different video on this topic, so if you want to, you can go and have a look at why you keep choosing the same partner. That will explain more of that. So for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to give you an idea of what you can do to start to shift that filter. In the morning when you wake up, set your mind by setting an intention, a positive intention, that today, as I go through my day, I am going to notice the opposite of my negative belief. So if my negative belief is that I am abandoned, then I'm going to pay attention to how I am connected in my life, how you are connected to yourself, even in this moment, as you are connecting to your thoughts, to your emotions, how you are connecting to people on the street, cashiers, small connections of somebody sending you a message. Maybe it's a funny message, maybe it's a hi, how are you, or an invitation to go out somewhere. We will most probably want to have this massive big proof that we will never be abandoned and this big surety. However, you saw that even in a marriage or even in a relationship, long-term relationship, you got that surety, but it didn't maybe pacify that wound, or we got to experience that wound again. So that is not here to make you feel hopeless and like, oh, I'll always feel abandoned. No, that is just pointing you to create a more solid feeling of connection within yourself, connection to yourself, connection to others, and connection to a higher purpose or a higher power, whatever you might deem that to be. Whether it's nature, whether it's a religious higher power, whether it's your higher self or higher mind, higher awareness, a set of principles that you live by. That could be a higher power. So start by setting that intention and noticing any small detail in your environment, small pieces of evidence in your environment, how you are in fact connected. Now, the most important part of this is when somebody sends you a message and you read it and they're like, hey, how are you doing? That's connection. They might not show up in exactly the perfect way you want. They might not ask you to go for coffee if you want to go for coffee, right? They might not show up exactly how you want, but take that as a piece of evidence that you are connected And start to feel about it in your body. Where do you feel connection? Start to notice, it's like, oh, that's very nice that this person has messaged me. What other proof can I find during my day? Be this inspector, be this detective, trying to find evidence how you are connected. And your core wound will keep popping up with these old neural pathways of how you're not connected, and bringing up that evidence and trying to discredit what you're trying to do. So I didn't say this is easy. This is mental management. However, it is very important for us to heal these wounds, because as we get older, I see my granny, for example, she's now 91 going on 92. The core wounds that we don't heal when we are younger then torment us when we are older. Not that she is tormented, but I can see some of those discomforts from being in the World War coming up for her now. Some of those anxieties are coming up for her now. So whether you got to this place where you have to do the healing work through wanting to do it, or through this divorce, which has now propelled you in this direction of self-development, self-inquiry, self-awakening, okay, at some stage we have to take that responsibility and go like, okay, great, I'm going to take my bag. This is my bag. I'm going to take it and I'm going to explore what is in this bag. These core wounds. Okay, this is not good for my mind. And I promise you, once you start to heal this, and you heal these abandonment core wounds, you heal the not enough core wound, the unworthy core wound, it's not only that you'll get over this breakup, but you will start to feel so much more confident, so much more at ease, so much more alive in your life, and so much more safe and just powerful to go out into the world and be the person that you want to be. So the most important component of that exercise is finding the evidence. So you're reprogramming the filter in your brain. Remember, you will still have those old neural pathways that will tell you, no, but you will be abandoned, that you are not good enough, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Just notice those thoughts. Let them go. Thank you. You'll notice the sensations in your body. Okay, thank you. Come back to the new sensation. Reprogram your nervous system. Reprogram your soma, your subconscious mind as well. Okay, it's all in the body. Reprogram that. And then you will start to feel more sure of yourself. And from there, a different action will arise from you. A different emotion will arise from you. A different way of thinking will arise. You're building a new neural pathway. Okay, so you need to keep walking that neural pathway every day, all day. Maybe set reminders on your phone and remind yourself to do this throughout the day, so that you don't get just taken over by these negative beliefs and thoughts from your past. The other thing that you need to do is, or you could do if you wanted to, is the need fulfillment. So the need fulfillment is, like I said, go to my website, grab the list, or just Google a needs list. Figure out what are the needs that your partner was fulfilling for you. Go out and start fulfilling those needs by yourself. Find different avenues. At first, fulfilling your own needs is not going to feel great. When I started emotional regulation and somebody told me to self-soothe, I need to take a bath, I thought, oh, what a soft, pathetic tool to give me. Like, I've got all these problems and all this trauma, and that will never work. And at first it didn't. But eventually, the more I did it, the more I trusted it, the more my subconscious and my nervous system understood that, okay, now it's time for relaxation. Now I love to take long baths with music and candle lights and beautiful incense. It's a really beautiful practice. And at first we might also be resistant to getting these needs fulfilled. Like I said, without our partner, we might just be like a little child. It can trigger that little child in us and say, no, I want it from this person and this person only, and nobody else can give it to me. Okay, we have to accept the reality as it is. That person is not available. It is extremely empowering to learn how to fulfill those needs by ourselves. You will alleviate a lot of your anxiety and depression when you start to feed yourself, feed your emotional body, just like you would feed your physical body. Feed your emotional body, nourish it. Once you learn to do that by yourself, you are just so much more at ease and at peace within your own system. So it will solve so much of your clinging tendencies or your avoidant tendencies in relationships. Create future plans and goals. Start to put yourself in the future. Who do I want to become in the future? Because right now you might only be thinking about, oh, we were planning to do this, we were going to go on this holiday, who am I going to go to Christmas dinner with? Okay, pause and just create a different version of yourself. Create a vision board. Even if you don't do these things, even if you think like, oh, whatever, I promise you, if you do this, it will start to shift. Start to visualize yourself. Because you might not have noticed what your mind does, but when you have a partner, your mind immediately projects that into the future. So now consciously, you can use that and consciously project yourself into the future. See yourself as strong, as powerful, as loved, as competent, as whatever it is that you want to become. Maybe all the travels you will take, or perhaps you and your kids in a happy space. Visualize that, and again, run positive emotions through your body. When you are doing these visualization tactics, it is important that as you create this vision, whether you create a vision board or you create a video of your favorite clips and you just watch that every day, you feel positive in your body around it. So don't pick any clips or any images to put on your vision board that make you feel something uncomfortable. It must be a positive experience, because whatever you're feeling in your body, you are wiring into your nervous system, and that is in the process of becoming your new reality. Just a quick note on that. If you have uncomfortable sensations in your body, don't be scared of that and try to override every sensation. Of course, there is a part of us that has to just learn to process these emotions. And that takes me to the last part that I will share with you, which is emotional regulation. Doing practices that will help you to regulate your emotions and really become a master of your emotions will help you to ease a lot of this tension. And I've already mentioned two important components of regulating your emotions. Is checking those negative core wounds, the beliefs, the thoughts, negative thoughts that are running through your head. Check the story. What is the story? What is the narrative in your mind? If it's negative, you're going to feel negative. It's going to put you into a deeper state of unease. Check the story. See if you can just observe it or let it go, or journal about it in some way, process it. The other part is need fulfillment. Every single emotion that we have is a guidance to fulfill a need. Okay, so when I'm feeling lonely, it's a signal for me to go and seek out company. So once you start to fulfill your needs, your mood will alleviate normally. Once you start to listen to your emotions in a way of like they're not controlling you, but you can see like, oh, I feel uncomfortable. What is this? What need is this pointing me towards? Treat your emotions like you would treat your hunger and your thirst signals. Hopefully those signals you treat and honor. Use them to point you like, oh, I'm going in the direction of I'm hungry, I need food, okay? I am feeling disconnected, I need connection. How am I going to get that connection? And try to fulfill your needs with nourishing things, not like social media or something like that, because you'll end up feeling empty at the end of it. And that's how you will start to honor your emotions. Maybe have support, right? So a big part of grief is connecting to self, connecting to others, and connecting to a higher power. Because in grief, we believe that we have lost a lot more than we have gained. However, you will see that through this process and always in life, we always gain more than we lose. I hope that you go through this period and give yourself a lot of grace. It is a challenging time, and I hope that you can, instead of beating yourself up, Start to love yourself more. Till I see you in the next video. Big love.